Hello, Cooper Glover, 1972 here, also, of course, known as Brian. I've watched some movies this week. I didn't really watch that many. I only watched two. And I watched another thing, which is a TV show. So I'm going to include it in one video. So I'll start off with my first movie. I got both the two movies at the library where I work. The first one is a documentary called Score. Um, it's about movie composers. And it covers people like, well, let's see, who does it cover? Danny Elfman, um, Hans Zimmer, um, John Williams. Who else does it cover? Oh, I'm sort of a loss for words here, and I should be more ready. Trent Reznor, talking about Social Network, Howard Shore, Thomas Newman, Randy Newman, uh, Leonard Maltin talks about film music. Just tells about the evolution of scoring films. Bernard Herrmann's is it, and Neil Morricone. They're all profiled, and they don't really. I don't know if they talk much about like independent filmmaking. It's much more geared towards Hollywood. But anyways, it's showing these musicians. Some of them are lesser known, but they've done a lot of big Hollywood films these days. But they show like how they find these unique, how they find unique sounds, and how they use unorthodox approaches towards making making scores for films, and that it's a high pressure job, and you got limited amount of time. And like Hans Zimmer says, sometimes he finds it overwhelmed. I'm taking it out of well, I'm sort of paraphrasing, but it's like he's overwhelmed. He doesn't know what to do, and but somehow these composers manage to make fantastic films, uh, to scores to great films, and like some of the ones that laid the benchmarks, like um, I think it's Thomas Newman, or no, maybe I don't know. The score to Streetcar Named Desire has jazz in it. Um, what other scores are? Hans Zimmer set a new standard. I think starting with Gladiator, maybe. But there's various, and they show how they use instruments that are not even like thinking outside the box. Like there's an African instrument they use, not a violin or something. Or like one guy, he did the Rugrats, the Nickelodeon show. So he bought a toy piano for $60, and he played that. And one guy plays a hurdy gurdy to get this sound for. I think the show is called Black Sails television show. So, anyways, it's pretty interesting. Um, all the things they do to manipulate the sound and try to come up with something unique. So I'm going to give it 4 stars. I highly recommend it. Next is let's see. Next is conversation. This next thing is a documentary. Technically, you could call it a movie. It's for approximately 1 hour episodes. It's one of them is like an hour and 14 minutes. But they're approximately around an hour each, and there's four episodes. It's called Conversations with a Killer: The Ted Bundy Tapes. This is pretty fascinating how he went about and committed his crimes and got away with it for a while until you know the arm of the law finally got its way on him. But he was he I guess he was like an intelligent man, very educated. He educated himself on um, law books. He wanted to study law, and back in those days, they didn't have the internet, and police departments in other towns didn't consult other police departments or other states. So he really took advantage of that fact, being a serial killer. It's pretty disturbing. Some of it's it's kind of scary. Who he is. That you would see this kind of man who doesn't look like Manson, but still he's quite crazy. And at certain points in the movie, you can see how nuts he is. Well, and also like how indifferently he treats how how he approaches what he's been uh, convicted of. So it's a kind of a scary movie. Just knowing that there are people like that out there. So I'm gonna give that 4.5 stars. Um, it's on Netflix right now. It's a Netflix production. I highly recommend that. And to end it with, just watched it today. Well, I finished the Ted Bundy documentary today as well. But I watched this after that, which was The Maids with Glenda Jackson and Susanna York, based on a play by Jean Genet, a French playwright. Cinematography was by Douglas Slocum, who did the cinematography for Raiders of the Lost Ark. He was one of the cinematographers who worked on Close Encounters. I think he did the India part of the film. But anyways, I found this to be a big bore. I don't know. It seemed very embroidered language, just very decorated language, embellished language. It was in one. I don't mind a film being shot in one place, but this didn't seem to go anywhere. It's supposed to be like about dominance, these maids that serve this woman, their master, how they role play, and while she's gone from the house, the apartment rather, or whatever, in Paris, one of them dresses up in the woman's clothing, and the other one, they sort of play this game with one another. It's not really graphic. It has a PG rating, but it downplays some of the, like a lurid sexuality to it. It sort of plays that down. But I found it too kind of wordy. This is another film I've seen Glenda Jackson in. I saw her in Woman in Love, which was a film directed by Ken Russell, based on a novel by D.H. Lawrence. And I just found this a big bore. I wanted it to end several times, and it just kept going. It was an hour and a half long, and I'm never going to watch this film ever again, I don't think. It was just, and it sort of ended, maybe, well, actually, when did this film come out? It came, yeah, 1975. This is a big bore. So some 80s, I mean, not 80s, some 70s films they sort of leave you on the edge. Well, they leave you inconclusive. They don't wrap it up in a nice tidy bow. They sort of leave things unwrapped. They sort of leave things unfinished. So it sort of has one of those kinds of endings, which Woman in Love did too. But I just found this a bore, and I'm going to give it 2 stars. So that's it for this week. Next week I hope to watch more. I have to return those DVDs back to the library. I don't have to pay library fines because I work there, but I feel like I've had those out long enough. So enough of that. I'm never gonna watch the Maids again. But so score, I give 4 stars, which is this film right here. Ted Bundy tapes, I give 4.5 stars, and The Maids, I give 2 stars. So yeah, Maids is a total waste of time in my opinion. So even though I guess the playwright Jean Genet is a highly praised French playwright and was praised by people like Jean-Paul Sartre. So, but he it's just a bore. So, anyways, thanks for watching. Maybe I'll do a stream this week. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'll do some garage band music. My startup disk on my computer, it said it was almost full, so I had to delete some files. So I was deleting some GarageBand music and putting it on my hard drive. And I think I think I'm starting to run out of space again because I keep doing GarageBand songs and I put them in iTunes and then I put the GarageBand files onto my external hard drive. But sooner or later, I'm going to run out of space. But I do have iCloud storage, and I think I have about 200 gigabytes of that. And I think I've used up about 20 gigabytes of it so far, maybe a little more by this point. But I'll try to juggle it and see if I can fit more GarageBand and iTunes in the computer. Anyways, thanks for watching. Won't keep you any longer, and see you soon. Bye now.